When stories break, we take it further, looking at the multiple sides of that event as it unfolds. Special Report on Channels Television handles your big appetite for socio-political and economic news, plus human interest reports. Special Report on Channels Television, dissecting the news, showing at these times.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, our guest on this episode of Question Time is the Minister of Environment, Amina Mohammed. Don't go away.
What is responsible for the current heat waves that is currently experienced around Nigeria now?
That's a part of the global warming. I mean, we have all sorts of interpretations, but essentially when you are, the greenhouse emissions are this high, we will have a warming of our Earth, and our warming of our Earth will change temperatures all around. So you will have rising sea levels, there will be more floods, more storms, longer drought periods. It changes really the weather patterns across the world, and we'll see much more of that in Africa than we have. We'll see the heat waves, but we'll also see the floods. You'll see some seasons that you'll wonder, why are we getting this cold in the Hamatan, and in other times, as we see in Abuja just of late, the heat really has been something we haven't experienced before. But it's around the world. I mean, this is about global warming, and global warming is everywhere. It's exacerbated in areas of poverty because we don't have the infrastructure, nor do we have the investments to try to adapt or to mitigate against many of these environmental challenges that we have.
On the flip side, what's the preparation for the coming flood that you raised?
Well, we can but try. I think in 2012 we were all taken off guard by the flooding, and we are still grappling with trying to address the losses that happened there. I think certainly some of the agencies that government has at its disposal, so our own Niger Meteorological Office have done a lot of work that's been put in place so that they can forecast better, and in forecasting better, be better prepared for it. A lot more education to people, so you will know how to deal with some of these emergencies that we have, and to know where you're more at risk so that you can adapt better to many of those circumstances that we have. We have to look at land use better. I mean, one of the big challenges we have as we've had flooding has been what's happened with erosion and what's happened in the coastal areas. We have to prepare people for some of these events so that we don't lose lives and we don't lose property.
Now let's look at the challenge of sourcing for renewable energy. Just recently, the federal government announced plans to generate 13 gigawatts of electricity from the solar grid plan. So how far have you gone with this project?
Well, the important thing is that we have the agencies that can lay out what sort of a plan we need to put in place to address this. I think the ambition we have there is right, and it is very ambitious. We have the Renewable Energy Agency. This is where the Ministry of Power will look at the energy mix that we have in the country. We'll look to see what part of it is fossil fuels, how much of it are we going to move towards to get to renewables. What's the cost of that going to be? Where does it need to be in the country where we will experience a better response for off-grid renewable energy? Solar power is a big part of what we want to do, but it doesn't exclude wind. You'll see recently that the Ministry of Power had signed on to a number of contracts to provide up to, I think, about 1,000 or just over 1,000 megawatts of solar power. So I think we're putting the right steps in place. There is an urgency that we address all of these, but I think rightfully the Minister of Power is looking at what is the plan for doing that, and then beginning to invite the investors so that we can link power to the economy. It can't just be done in a silo that we just want to drop solar power, but where does it fall? How does it help with domestic? How does it help with industrial? How do we create the jobs, the small and medium scale industries that will go along with that? So I think it's a number of issues that come together, and power is a backbone, because certainly that's, infrastructure is going to be important for us to grow at the rate that we need to satisfy 170 million Nigerians.
Does Nigeria really have a comprehensive forest reserve policy?
Forestry, we don't